Good morning and happy to One Yard Wednesday. I'm Colleen from GE Designs, and we're so excited this morning. By we, I mean myself and Mr. GP over there. How you doing, GP?
I'm good.
He's getting ready for a trip to Alaska. So the difference between GP and myself, there are many. Mostly is he loves snow, me not so much. So he's heading to a lot of snow next week. But I'm excited for you just the same. I'll live vicariously. So this morning, One Yard Wednesday, if you haven't been with us before, you may not know that this is the day where we have fun and creative ideas for using with fabulous fabrics at fantastic prices. And by fantastic, I mean $7.99 a yard. These are quilt shop quality fabrics, no worries there. They are just some special fabrics that we want to show you today. The prices on these fabrics will be live at the end of the show, so just sit back, relax, put your feet up, sip your favorite morning beverage, and enjoy. But don't wait too long because these are really beautiful, and I'm confident that these will sell out because they are really special fabrics. So. So that's what's up today. Let's look at the quilts we have on the set this morning. Behind me, we have Steamy Windows, and I chose something using strips this morning because I'm going to be talking a little bit about strips and making blocks from strips, and I think this is a super fun quilt. And behind GP is strips and salsa, also made with strips and then some squares as well. So how fun is that? These are both single patterns, and we'll show you those at the end. On the table in front of me, I have the project for today. This is the Strippy Dippy. So if you haven't seen the Strippy Dippy, it's intentionally not completely finished because I want to give you a few tips and show you how I finished this. And these are actually some of the fabrics for today. So this is the Strippy Dippy, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So I have a question. My question is, can you cut a 1/8 inch increment using your Stripology ruler? So 3/8, 5/8, 1 1/8, etc. That's my question. We'll talk about that later on too. Well, let's go ahead and get started looking at these fabrics, which I gave you a little sneak peek. They're really fun, and they make me think about spring. They make me think about Valentine's Day. So we're always thinking a little bit ahead here, as I know you are as well. So let's take a look. The first fabric is Ladybug Mania Floral Dark Tomato. So these are almost all called Ladybug Mania, so I don't need to say that every time. This particular one, Floral Dark Tomato. So it's on that dark tomato red background, and if you look closely, there are little ladybugs in here with the dusty pink and the creamy white. This is just such a pretty, I think this looks like lilies of the valley in here, as well as some coneflowers. Very pretty and really fun, really springy. Next up, this is Floral White Tomato. So the same print in alternating colors. This one bringing in the green and the lighter tomato background. Again, light fuchsia, so pretty. Next up is small dark floral tomato. So this one, same tomato background as the first, and these little white flowers is just such a pretty, I'm going to say pretty 77 times here while we're looking at these, but this is a really pretty and soft print. And next up, something a little bit unexpected, a yellow. I think this adds so much to this collection. Stripe light gold this is. So it's got the gold and then the same white that you see in the other prints. And there's a little darker gold in there as well. A very nice stripe that would really lend itself to a lot of variety of color here in your scheme. And then from Color Club, we're pulling in a green. This is Dash Flow Meadow. And Dash Flow is one of those great blenders that is going to read almost like a solid, but it's going to give you that texture that will make your piece that much more interesting. And finally, we brought in a white, and this is Petite Dots white on white. And I'm gonna hold that. There you go. So you can see that it's got the dots in there. Love this. And now we have a really nice collection of 6 that you can do so much with these. So Petite Dots, white on white. Love it, love it. So I've got a notion. And my notion is the Stripology Quarters Mini ruler. So my notion and my question kind of go hand in hand today. My question was, can you cut a 1/8 inch increment using your Stripology rulers? With the Quarters Mini and the squared mini rulers, you absolutely can. There is a 1/8 inch increment on these 2 rulers. And I want to show you why I picked this for the project today. Let's look at my project. I cut the 4 strips here for the Strippy Dippy. These are 1.5 inches, and I wanted to play around with the stitch, what am I trying to say, GP? Oh, the seam allowance. I wanted to play around with the seam allowance. So I was trying a new foot on my machine. So I just sewed these together. But then when I went to cut them to make the Strippy Dippy, I wanted to not have to trim my piece in this dimension. So I measured this, and it turns out it's 4 5/8. So instead of doing all this trimming, I can simply line up my Stripology ruler so that I have my raw edge on the 1/8 inch line here, and you can tell it's 1/8. It's this dotted line, and it's also labeled. So in order to do this 4 5/8, I will simply cut the 4.5, and now I've got 4 5/8 by 4 5/8. So that's how I did all of the blocks for Strippy Dippy, so rather than square these up on this dimension. So it's just one of those chances to try something new and try something a little bit different and stretch your sewing talent. I also left this unfinished so I could show you the back of this. I pressed always away from this block towards this whole piece. So pressed away from these pieces, away from these pieces, and this is in the pattern. And then I spun my seams. So I opened up those seams, and you can see that here, so that when I press this, when I go to quilt this, there's very little bulk there. So that's also a tip. You know, these little projects are great opportunities to really hone your skills. So when you take on something like London Calling, you're much more accurate and you'll be much happier with your result. Finally, there are all kinds of layouts for Strippy Dippy. And I used a kind of a pinwheel layout here. So I've got my reds, and then I've got this, in the next row, I've got the greens. This would also have been pretty had I put a yellow in there. The yellow would have added a lot. I didn't have that handy, so I just did these 4 colors. It's just a great example of what you can do with a little bit of fabrics cut into strips and sewn back together, and you can imagine all kinds of fun applications. Fun. Any questions there, GP?
Nope. Is that your notion?
I do have, that's my notion, yeah. That is my notion. The Stripology Quarters Mini. Okay, should we look at these fabrics one more time? I'm going to lay them out in the order we had them. I moved them so we could look at that other project. We'll start here on the right with the white on white dots. Isn't that pretty? And then of course, Dash Flow brings in that soft green, the gold, which I didn't use in my project, but I sure wish I had. So pretty. And then the ladybugs. This is the small floral dark tomato, light fuchsia, the large floral light fuchsia, and then floral dark tomato. So this looks like spring. This looks, like I said, it looks like Valentine's. This looks like Mother's Day. I can think of all kinds of great gifts that I might make using this collection. So pretty. So those are my fabrics. So let's look at the, I'm going to move these out of the way, all right, and put Strippy Dippy back here. And we'll talk about the projects. All right, so what did we use for our patterns today? We used the Strippy Dippy. This is a free pattern at GEQuiltDesigns.com, and you can make this as small or as large as you'd like. You can alter the width of the strips if you'd like. This is a great experiment, a great pattern to follow exactly or experiment and, like I said, challenge yourself and do something unusual. The quilts that we have, the one behind me is Steamy Windows. So much fun. This is a strip quilt, so you're going to cut your strips in this example into 2.5 inches. Okay, so there's Steamy Windows. I also grabbed Steamy Windows supersized. I did that intentionally because a couple customers have been in class recently thinking that the supersized means that the size of the quilt is supersized. In fact, the supersized name in the pattern means that the block is supersized. Both of these patterns will make quilts from crib to king. So this is just the supersized, like I said, is a description of the size of the block. Behind GP, we have strips and salsa, which is also so much fun. I love the look of these two with the light background as well as the dark background comparison. Really, really fun, orienting them differently, horizontal or vertical, fun either way. The Stripology rulers are, of course, the show stoppers. The first one is the squared mini. This will cut your 1/4 inch increments, as will the Stripology quarters mini. And I have both of these, of course, in my collection and use both of them every single day. And then finally, if you don't have the Master Your Stripology Rulers book, grab the book, and I'm going to pull out the block that Gudrun showed in Tipsy Tuesday yesterday. This is the first block of a series that she's calling Stripologized. And what fun this will be to learn how to do this fun block you in either a 12-inch finished, 9-inch finished, or 6-inch finished size using your Stripology rulers, your Master Your Stripology Ruler book, and your scraps of fabric, and you will have so much fun. So that was block 1 was yesterday, and this is also a free pattern at on the charts page GEQuiltDesigns.com. Well, that was a quick show. Maybe I'm talking fast. Maybe I've run out of interesting things to say. What do you think?
I don't know.
He's laughing. He's not going to tell me. Well, Mr. GP and I both hope you have a great day. We want to thank you for tuning in, hanging out with us for a little bit, and try the Strippy Dippy, try the Stripologized block, grab your Stripology ruler, make yourself something wonderful today. I'm Colleen from GE Designs and that Mr. GP. We hope you have a great day. Thanks so much. See you next time.